What's up, wrestling fans? It is Roman McPeak here, back with another episode of Indie Views. Today, I got the new guys joining in with me. I'm glad to have these guys here. We got Jake Bosche and Scott Stanley. They are the WrestleMax Tag Team Champions. They got the titles in the background there. Good for business. You got to promote that for sure.
Oh yeah.
I think everybody would want to know who are the new guys. Obviously, it's Jake. Obviously, it's Scott. But in y'all's words, who are the new guys?
So I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Straight out of training, two guys who haven't been in the business long. We've been in the business for about 8 months. Training just hit our year mark, and we're just loving every day. Excited, happy, and just hitting the ground running everywhere we're going.
All right, that's good to hear. So y'all got about a year together.
Yeah.
How long have you guys known each other? The tagline y'all kind of used. I thought it was cool when I saw y'all wrestling. They were like, they're straight out of training. And so I was like, okay, so obviously these guys haven't been doing it too long, but have you guys kind of known each other for a long time? Did y'all meet in training? How did that come about?
So yeah, no, we met in training, and like he was gonna do his thing, I was gonna do my thing, and I actually started with another guy, and like we were just like we had no idea what we wanted to do. We were just learning how to wrestle at that point, and then he broke his hand, and so he couldn't train anymore. But I still wanted to do tag stuff, and it was literally a 30-minute conversation with Scott where I go, "Hey, you want to tag?" And he goes, "Yeah," and then just 30 minutes of just brainstorming ideas, just the snowball into the new guys. I mean. Yeah, it was kind of just a lucky accident.
I started about a month and a half before Bosch did, but I hurt my shoulder like right as Bosch started training. So I was
Hmm.
out for 2 or 3 months. So by the time that I came back, we were pretty much at the same like point in training. So it
Hmm.
just made sense, and we were the only two at that like same level together. So
Yeah,
it
for
just
sure.
made sense for us to stick together because we both had our debuts around the same time, and then on
Hmm.
top of it, it just we were in the same cars, we were going to the same places every time. We were talking to each other because it's just easier to talk to someone that's like right there with you.
Yeah.
So eventually, it just came down to like, hey, let's try a tag team. Like, there's not a lot of tag teams, not just in the Midwest, but in indie wrestling.
Mhm.
So we decided to try that, and I think it's going pretty well so far.
Y'all really bounce off of each other in a good way. For what I saw at CCW, Jake kind of gets people hype. You're kind of there to get the job done, and
Absolutely.
it
Yep.
works. It works really well. For y'all being, fairly new tag team, y'all had a lot of moves, a lot of good teamwork. I thought, the match I watched, the ending did not go in y'all's way, but there was some momentum there. The crowd was definitely feeling y'all. Um, so I do think there's a lot of good things coming from y'all if y'all stick together, ride it out. Yeah, tag team wrestling for a little while there was kind of dry. Not a lot. Didn't really see any new guys. Not pun intended, but not seeing a lot of guys, willing to team up with each other. It was more just like, hey, it's about me. So it's nice seeing guys that are like, hey, it can be about us. Like I can win, you can win, we can both get somewhere together.
Exactly.
The new guy's name, were y'all just like, we're just the new guys? Did y'all rattle around a few names or
There's
how did
actually a
that
funny
happen?
story. So I had my debut at WrestleMax on the pre-show. It was a singles match, and this honestly was probably I think your shoulder was still hurt, Scott, and the power went out because a tornado had ripped through Columbia, which is the city, and so the ring announcer announced my name, but I'm just wearing plain black gear. I think I had a Blues hockey jersey on, and it was like just clearly I was a trainee, and so they had no idea what my name was because the mic was off, and so they chanted "new guy," and so like I knew there was something there, and then Scott was like, "Yo, we should use that as the name," and so yeah, we just ran with it.
Well, that's actually a pretty funny story. So y'all are the new guys. Found out about how you kind of got y'all's name. So you said y'all met in training. Y'all didn't really grow up with each other, so y'all didn't really know each other before training. Um, was being a tag team something y'all always kind of were interested in? Because I know Jake had said, I was kind of trying to still be a tag guy after, his tag team partner got injured. What about you, Scott? Were you kind of always wanting more interested in tag, or were you kind of wanting to be a singles guy, and then this just kind of fell in your lap? A great opportunity.
No, I had not 1 second thought of being a tag guy before I joined. Honestly, until I met Bosch, I was going to be a singles guy. But the more I thought about it and the more I talked to Bosch, it just didn't make sense to be a singles guy right now. Like, there's so many wrestlers, and I also just didn't know that much about indies before I joined. So the more I learned and the more I went to shows and saw just the abundance of singles wrestlers, the more I realized there is a huge market for tag teams. And it's great for us, and it's great for wrestling to just have a tag team that wants to be a tag team, not just two guys thrown together and doing it just to do it. We're a tag team who wants to be a permanent, long-term tag team for the foreseeable future.
There really is I think there is a market for more tag teams. There's a lot of guys who are like, hey, we're going to team up for now until one of us gets big, and then I'm gone, basically. It's good to see two guys that are trying to stay together, trying to make a name for themselves. I think the new guys are going to make an even bigger name for themselves because y'all guys are running around the roads, hitting up. Y'all are at Glory Pro. You're at WrestleMax. Jake said y'all are at a few other places. You were just at PWE, I think you said. So y'all are running around, putting your names out there. So while you're doing the tag team stuff, who are some of those guys that y'all kind of looked up to as kids? Because I mean, Jake, you're 19. Scott, how old are you, Scott?
I'm 24.
24. So y'all are still pretty close in age. So y'all should be growing up around kind of looking up to the same kind of people. Were y'all always wrestling fans, or did it kind of come later on, or how did that happen?
For me, it was kind of funny. So I started watching wrestling in 2012 when The Rock came back, because like my dad was a huge Rock fan. So as soon as he came back, he's like, "You got to see this." And so that got me into wrestling for the first time, and I immediately gravitated to like R-Truth, Sheamus, and Kofi Kingston. Those were like my three guys. And then obviously Daniel Bryan would come in, and everybody loved Daniel Bryan. So like, everybody's gonna have him on their list. But when it comes to like my three guys that aren't just like everyone's favorites, those are my three that like I still to this day keep as like top three favorite wrestlers. But then when it comes to tag team stuff, I think it's more about the Dudley boys. Like Bubba Ray Dudley is definitely like one of my favorite wrestlers. And like even when it's just like the what's up stuff, like that's the kind of stuff I want to do. And no, I've been kind of in and out after Daniel Bryan won the belts at Mania. But then like I think sophomore year, which was like three years ago, one of my buddies in one of my classes was watching wrestling, got right back into it, and I played hockey. But then after my last game for hockey senior year, I walked into training the next day.
I was a big CM Punk guy. That's what got me into wrestling in 2011. So I actually started watching whenever I was around 11, 12 years old. So for most people, they start like whenever they're real little. I mean, I was little, but I feel like I started watching pretty later compared to other people. So Punk was really what roped me into the wrestling just because of the moves are cool, the moves are fine, but I've never been a moves guy personally. I just love the stories. And whenever you can tell a story just by holding a microphone up to your mouth, I think that is really just the most impressive thing that I've seen come out of professional wrestling. And then watching someone like Bryan Danielson, who is about the same height as me, looks similar to me, but you can call him the greatest wrestler possibly to ever live. I think that was just a massive inspiration to start training. It's always fun to watch guys like John Cena, Hulk Hogan, blah, 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 whatever. They're massive and larger than life. But at the end of the day, I'm never going to look like that. And so to watch guys like Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, those are guys that I fit the category of. Those are the guys that I can someday be. or hopefully better. So it's always been a realistic standard for me whenever I watch wrestling, which is a little funny if you think about it. But yeah, so I never grew up with a lot of favorite wrestlers, but those are the guys that I connected with probably more than anyone.
Obviously, y'all listed off a lot of great guys: R-Truth, Sheamus, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson. Yeah, arguably maybe the greatest of all time if we're just talking straight up wrestling. So the new guys, I want to know. We're gonna do some rapid fire questions about tag teams. So I want to know who's got the best tag finishers in the business.
Oh, I already hit with a tough one. Um, I really liked Rey Mysterio and Rob Van Dam. I know they're not current. If we're gonna go current, I'll probably just go with the Bucks. I think the Bucks have some cool stuff.
Yeah,
Dang,
that's a
yeah,
good one.
I was gonna say the Bucks as well. What do they call it now? The TK driver, just
Mm-hmm.
brutal, and not just brutal for the person taking the move, but Nick Jackson just
Yeah.
does a flip off the top and lands on his tailbone. How's he been doing that for like 20 years? Madman.
Yeah.
Crazy. Who would you say has some of the best gear in the business as far as tag teams?
The New Day.
Oh
Yeah, I would say the New Day has some pretty great gear. Again, the Bucks always come out with pretty
Mm-hmm.
great gear. They're a little beige now just because of the
Mhm.
EVP rule that they got going. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would say honestly, Private Party has some pretty good gear too. I
Yeah.
love their
Yeah.
gear.
Profits, the Street Profits, they always
Oh
get
yeah.
the city customized.
Who would y'all say has some of the best entrance music? Like
Mm.
when their music hits, you're just like instantly clicks. You know that you're about to see a banger.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Dudley Boys, and then I'm gonna throw a singles wrestler, Orange Cassidy. When
Oh yeah.
that song hits, yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Whenever I hear FTR's music,
Mm-hmm.
it transports me into the 1980s, and I just
Oh yeah.
know I'm about to see a slobber knocker.
Yep.
But I can't leave this stream without saying something about John Moxley. So uh, he comes out through the crowd.
Wild thing. Yeah.
I'm ready to fight. You know what I mean? So there's something special about that.
I mean, I'm definitely get some John Moxley vibes from Scott for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of
Crazy,
brooding. Yeah.
crazy.
In a good. It's a compliment.
No,
All
Yeah,
right.
for sure. He's a
I'll
huge,
take
but
it.
Yeah.
he's a little Mox Mark over there. So
Oh, that's
yeah, he
okay.
loves him.
Hey, y'all didn't notice it. I'm a pretty big mark for wrestling as well, so don't
Hey,
worry about
we
that.
all are, right?
Yeah.
You gotta be. If you love wrestling, you are one, you know?
Oh, 100%.
So last question, and feel free to include yourself in this if y'all want to, but it could be someone else if you want to. Who is the tag team everybody should be looking out for in the future?
Well, I'll say myself just because I'd be stupid not to. But
Yeah.
a little shout out, actually a few shout outs. The O'Neill brothers, they're coming out of St. Louis. They're really getting good and they do some really cool stuff. They're really starting to dip their toes in the promo game and starting to get on socials more. So I think they're the O'Neill brothers PW on Twitter. The Premier, they're out of Kansas City. They've been doing it a little longer than us, but we've had some really fun matches with them, and they're just world class. They're so good. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, so I hate all of those
Yeah.
people.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
So
my
okay.
bad. We hate them.
Now we get to the real answers from Scott.
yeah, so I hate them, but if you want to go follow them, I guess go follow them.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so tag teams, they're not wrestling yet, but coming out of our school, we have these guys, and they're going to be called the Kingdom Boys. So I can't say much about them yet, just because they haven't even made their debut. But I promise, whenever they do, you guys are going to want to look out for them.
100%.
Yeah, so not can't tell you much about them, just because we need them to get in the ring and fight in front of fans. But they're going to be special. They're going to be great.
For sure.
Very, very selfless answers. If I was you guys, I would have said you need to watch out for the new guys. But
Yeah, I think that's
great.
self-explanatory, and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
people
Yep.
will. So
If y'all want to find the new guys on social media, they're going to tell you where to find them.
All right, so where you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook at ScottStanleyPW, at Jake Bosche, and at TheNewGuysPw. We come out with videos all the time. You won't forget about us because we constantly put our faces on the web. So whenever we're not at a show, best believe we are on social media. So follow us, enjoy our videos. That's what they're there for, and hopefully they give you a little more insight on us as Scott and Jake and the new guys. So, Jake, what shows do we got coming up?
Coming up, we're going to be in Wisconsin this weekend. We're going to
Fourth Wall
be,
Wrestling.
yeah, Fourth Wall Wrestling this weekend. I know coming up May 31st, STL Anarchy. June 22nd, WrestleMax defending these championships. Not sure who, but hopefully somebody fun.
We'll be in Tennessee for your wrestling association on May 19th as well.
Yep.
And May 25th, Glory Pro Wrestling in St. Louis.
Well, all right. Well, y'all heard where you can see the new guys, and hopefully y'all will check them out in person. If you can't check them out in person, definitely check them out on social media. I caught some of their videos. They're actually pretty funny, and some of them are just more insightful. There's some serious stuff. There's some funny stuff. So you definitely want to check them all out. All right, guys. Well, I think that about wraps it up for everything that I had for you guys. I appreciate y'all coming on here. Appreciate y'all's time. Looking forward to see what y'all are doing in the future.
Yeah, thank
For
you,
sure.
Roman.
Yeah, thank you very much.